Tesla solar panels versus a massive Category 5 hurricane. Those panels are surely going to get ripped right off the roof. The power walls are going to get flooded and be useless. Nope. I had first-hand experience with Tesla solar panels and power walls during a massive Category 5 hurricane. It made my life so much better. It hit me directly. We were in the eye wall for hours. We got high wind warnings for hours. I was truly traumatized. The solar panels on the roof held up outside way better than I did safe inside. During the storm itself, it was so traumatic. A branch broke off a tree, pierced the roof, water started leaking into the master bedroom, sending the smoke alarms going off. So there's sirens going through the house, there's water leaking, there's wind warnings. Truly, absolutely insane experience. I was panicked. I didn't know what to do. So I flicked the breakers off. So the power walls give electricity to the entire house, even when the grid's off. But when our roof started leaking and water started pouring into the master bedroom, suddenly I wasn't concerned about power. I was concerned about like an electrical fire. So I just flipped every breaker imaginable. I turned off the power to the entire house as if we didn't have power walls, as if we just lost grid power anyway. Now that was a big mistake. So what I should have done, looking back, I should have flipped the breaker to the master bedroom only. If you flip all the breakers, turn the power walls off, the power walls will eventually lose power to where they cannot start back up. They have a 12-volt battery inside them, just like a car, and it drains very fast because its whole purpose is to search for sunlight, to search for power to get to the power walls. And if you turn all that off, it confuses it. So the next day, after I assessed the damage, to my surprise, to my anguish, the power walls would not come on because I made the giant mistake of just flipping all the breakers off. You should never do that. I contacted Tesla. They said, tough luck. We can't come out there, obviously, because you were just in a massive hurricane. Impossible to get to you. Too bad, too sad. The only way your power walls are going to come back on is when you get grid power. Can you imagine how I felt? I spent $40,000 for Tesla Solar and Powerwalls for this exact moment. And now I'm finding out it's not even going to work. Luckily, I discovered that you can jumpstart your power walls, just like you can jumpstart a car, that 12-volt battery. So I literally got a jump starter intended for a car. I cut off wires from our jet ski trailer. I jerry-rigged the wires together, put it into the Tesla Energy gateway. It looked like I was about to get electrocuted, but it was fine. It actually jump-started the entire system to where it turned back on, the solar panels turned back on, and my system began working off-grid, generating solar energy. It was truly amazing. Y'all, I have power from the Tesla Powerwalls. Brian was texting me and helped me jump start the gateway. I got wire. I cut off a boat trailer with this. I put it in that gateway, let's see, and it started. So at this point, I'm feeling so good. Our house has power again. With Tesla Solar and Powerwalls, you're able to turn the air conditioning on. You're able to cook on the stove. You're able to do laundry if you have water. You're able to do everything. So people ask me if Tesla Powerwalls are worth it. What's the return on investment? They're trying to do all these calculations in their head. The return on investment is not a monetary figure. It's having power. It's having the luxury of all these things when your neighbors don't have power. This is day 2 after Hurricane Ian. I just turned on our water heater. We have very low water pressure. But I'm showering in hot water for the first time since like Tuesday. Oh my gosh, it feels amazing. Like, you don't realize how gross I am. This feels, oh my god, like, you know how much I paid for the Powerwalls? I will pay double for this experience. Oh my god, like, Let me be quiet, my window's open. Oh my god, this feels, you don't understand. This is luxury. No one else has hot water. If people are on wells, they don't have running water. I am honestly so grateful. Like, I feel undeserving of this. Really. Like, really, I truly feel like I am undeserving of this hot water right now. Because, honestly, the water is still rising outside. I honestly think it's going to be months before the grid is completely restored. So, I just feel like so much normalcy having these Tesla Solar and Powerwalls now. Now, I'm not saying to hog the power for yourself. Definitely help your neighbors. In my case, I told my neighbors they're welcome to come over, enjoy the air conditioning, they can sit in the car, charge their phones. One of them took me up on that offer, and they came over all the time to charge their devices, charge their cell phones. It was great. I was actually generating so much power from the Tesla Solar and Powerwalls that I was able to plug in my Tesla and charge the Tesla using excess energy. We had that much energy. We were living life like nothing even happened, despite the entire house being surrounded by water. Despite me being able to go out on a paddleboard and just paddle through my entire neighborhood like I was now on waterfront property. The craziest thing, after the hurricane, I had no clue one of my solar panels was damaged. It was cracked. It needed to get replaced. But the hurricane literally just power washed the solar panels. The atmosphere was super clean and clear, and my system was producing power like it never has before. It was performing at its peak, despite one of the solar panels being broken. That's a true testament to the strength of solar panels. They can be physically cracked and damaged, and they're still going to work. The solar panel being cracked could have actually saved my roof from damage in that spot. If I had solar panels on the side of my house that had roof damage, I may have never had a leak. That's truly amazing. And Tesla did fix that solar panel. I just put in a ticket through my app. They came out and fixed it. We're good to go. And between me and you, they were supposed to charge me like $1,000 for the solar panel, and they never charged me. So I don't know if that was just goodwill. Sorry for experiencing the hurricane, but yeah, my solar panel was damaged and they fixed it for free. I don't know if it was considered warranty or what. Also, I do want to address this. So many people are concerned about the Powerwalls being in my garage, that if my house floods, the Powerwalls will get destroyed. The Powerwalls can withstand water up to the Tesla logo, which is very deep. Powerwalls can be installed outside. They are water resistant. They are waterproof to a certain spot. So if the water got to the Tesla logo on my Powerwalls, that would be the least of my worries. My house would be flooded. I would not be there. I would not need power. That being said, if you're in a flood-prone area, you can have your Powerwalls mounted up higher on the wall, which I'm not actually sure why Tesla didn't do that to mine. I am in flood zone E, which is a less high-risk area of flooding, so maybe that's why. If I was in like flood zone A or B, maybe building code would require them to put them at a certain height. Now, one thing I didn't have, one luxury I didn't have, was internet. So, of course, if the power goes out, if power lines fall, the infrastructure is going to fail. Internet is one of the first things that's going to go out. Cell phone service? No. If you're in a catastrophic hurricane area, you're going to be able to send maybe a text message. And if you have an iPhone, you're going to have to turn that blue bubble off because that's too much data. The cell services are struggling. Everyone's trying to get a hold of people. It does not work. So after the fact, this is what I will always have. You need Tesla Solar and Powerwalls and Starlink. Tesla Solar, Powerwalls, Tesla Vehicle, Starlink. Elon Musk makes all of the products required to survive after an emergency. Like, I'm truly grateful to Elon Musk and him thinking of all of this. After a few days and enjoying being off-grid, but still with power thanks to Powerwalls, the water slowly began to rise, and there were rumors of a levee or a dam breaking, and the water would rise even more. And I saw my neighbor getting saved by like the National Guard. Suddenly, the thought of evacuation entered my head. Even though I was safe and sound in our house with power and all of the creature comforts somebody would want, the thought of evacuating suddenly struck my head. And luckily, I did have a Tesla Model X. Teslas are amazing for driving through water. If you leave my driveway, turn right, impossible to leave, super flooded. If you turn left, you can drive on the interstate directly from my neighborhood. Obviously, it's not intended to do that, but people removed the fence. It was a little bit muddy and wet, and of course, I'm driving through water. I made the decision to do it. I captured some truly unbelievable footage. Like, I'm driving down the road in my Tesla Model X as there is an airboat going past me. I book it. I made the mistake of driving too fast. If you're driving in water, you want to go slow. I drove too fast, so I think the water itself was removing trim pieces. And then when I drove up on the interstate, it was muddy. The ground was varying in height. The Model X just isn't an off-road vehicle like the Cybertruck is. If I had the Cybertruck in this scenario, it would have been amazing. But what happened to the Model X, the bumper ended up getting ripped off. Some amazing people helped me get the bumper removed because it was still hanging on by a few nuts and bolts. Holy crap! Oh, shit. They helped me. I was able to take the bumper off. It's still at my house to this day. And then I was able to safely evacuate to the other coast of Florida. With the threat of the rising water, like, it just felt natural to me. And people say you can't buy a Tesla because you can't evacuate in the case of an emergency. I'm firsthand proof. You can evacuate in an emergency. My Tesla charged from the solar panels on my roof as there was no grid power. At the same time, my entire house was being powered by solar panels and Powerwalls. You can absolutely evacuate in an emergency, and I was better off for it because what were my neighbors doing? They were burning gas. They were sitting in their car just to be in the air conditioning, just to charge their phones. Their gas was dwindling down, and the river was rising. The water was rising. There was no way to get more gas. Meanwhile, my house is self-sustaining. It just continually generated power because it was completely sunny after this hurricane. Usually what a hurricane's gonna do, it's gonna just like cleanse the atmosphere. And day after day after day after day after day, it was perfectly sunny. So I evacuated to the East Coast. I got to enjoy a little bit of a mini vacation in Delray Beach. Still no internet at the house. After a few days, I got notification the internet was back on. The water ended up going back down. It never flooded the house. We never got water damage. So I was able to drive my Model X back home. Currently have no power from the grid. This is like day 8. I'm charging with my Powerwalls. Time remaining 7 hours and 40 minutes from solar energy. Like, when people say solar isn't viable, explain this. I'm only using 0.7 kilowatts of capacity from the Powerwalls. They have 9 more kilowatts of capacity that my house can use. The solar energy is massive. That's pretty much all going into my Tesla battery. I have to get to the Tesla service center today because they're going to look at my bumper. And right now I can make it there with 7%. But the plan is to charge up a little bit more because I want to stop and supercharge, because I do want to leave a lot of power for my house. The goal is to end the day at 100%. That way overnight we have all the battery power we need to make it through the night for AC, cooking, lights, etc. I don't care if you have Tesla Solar, I don't care if you have Powerwalls. If you get a mandatory evacuation notice from the authorities, you need to leave. Tesla Solar and Powerwalls are not going to save your life if storm surge comes and floods your house. They're not going to save you from that. They're only going to save you for having grid power after the storm. If your house doesn't survive, if your house floods, Solar and Powerwall is the least of your worries. So remember, be safe. I do realize a massive hurricane just hit Florida, but the hurricane I'm referring to is Hurricane Ian in 2022. I just want to provide that context. I don't want to mislead people. But it did provide me a lot of information and a lot of knowledge for the next hurricane if it were to directly impact me and hit my area. And I'm sharing this with you all so you can have the same information I have, because I made a few mistakes along the way, but I was able to learn by them and share them with you.